Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Television. With all the Johnny Manziel talk and the scandal about the autographed items that are on eBay, we got talking yesterday about which athletes we would wait in line to meet, maybe get an autograph from. So tonight, Parrot and I were going to count down 3 athletes that we would wait in line and long lines, pay for autographs, those sorts of things. They can be living or dead. We're going to operate on the assumption if you pick a dead person, you'll meet them while that person was alive. So we're not actually meeting a dead person. So
I hope so.
Yeah. So I hope that doesn't blow any of your list. So you have to meet somebody that's alive.
No, not at all.
We'll start with number 3. Who's your number 3?
You know, I did a lot of thinking about this, and I forgot who my number 3 was, actually. I got to go back and look. I was looking at your script to see if I could pull it off.
There it is, Wilt Chamberlain. Your number 3 is Wilt Chamberlain. So why Wilt Chamberlain?
You know, basically, when I look at Wilt Chamberlain, he scored, for one season, he scored 50 points and 25 rebounds. Right. That is ridiculous. He also, he said a lot of things, but I mean, just to meet him, you know, I've met Bill Russell, I've met John Woodard. I met a lot of great guys, but the one guy I've never gotten to meet, he passed away before I could, is Wilt Chamberlain.
Is Wilt Chamberlain kind of a off the floor? You got some intrigue into his life. He was a flashy guy, the coats, the 10,000 women. Is that part of it for you, like kind of the whole figure of Wilt Chamberlain?
No, 10,000 women, you know, back in the day when he was having, you know, getting his thing on, you know, health was kind of, health issues were a lesson for certain. I feel like if you try to do that now, something will come up for you and it'd be a bad scenario. Let's just say that. But I mean, as far as what he did, though, I mean, one season they said he wasn't a great passer, so he decided to lead the league in assists. He was that gifted, and they changed the rules of the game because he was that great.
Because and along with that, my number 3 is Bill Russell, which, by the way, breaks my heart that you. How did you meet Bill Russell? What's that story?
I mean, Coach Pitino, obviously, he has that Celtic connection. We were playing up north. I think it was Providence or somewhere along there, and he came into the locker room and spoke, and it was like, oh, you know. So I mean, that's the one thing I will say. Sports, you can connect and meet so many people that you admire and look up to.
Right.
I thought Derek Jeter was like, he's a Yankee captain, and everybody says so many great things about him. And he goes, Coach Pitino goes, Derek, give them a speech and tell them what it takes to be a winner. And his response was, everybody loves a winner. And I'm saying, that's the speech? Like, that was it?
Jeter just wants to be loved, so he wins.
I mean, that is it? That's what got you Mariah Carey? Like, get out of here.
See, now Mariah Carey, I'm going back to Wilt Chamberlain now talking, that is what it is. You lied to us about that. But Bill Russell, to me, I mean, 11 NBA championships. I think he was very important. That was kind of the civil rights movement and the way the NBA was built and kind of what was going on in our country. Very fascinating guy. He was a recluse for a long time. That's one person that I would love to meet. And I would put him at number 3 on my list, just ahead of Dirk Nowitzki, by the way, who I have a strange obsession with. Yeah. You're number 2. Do we need to put you on the spot?
Actually, I know who my number 2 is, believe it or not. My number 2 is Martin Luther King.
Who's not an athlete.
No, he's not an athlete. No, he's not an athlete. Once again, like, you know, sports isn't everything. You know, sports define. You know, we love sports, but it does not define us as men.
Right.
So with that being said, I think, you know, when you look at what he had to overcome, like somebody hitting me with a brick and me to keep walking down the street, that would not happen. I would beat somebody up or choke them out. I mean, he persevered, and like everything he had a dream about in his speech, it came true. Like, that's something I could never imagine like being possible, but it is possible and it happened.
And that's going to greatly overshadow my number 2, so thanks for that. My number 2 is Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth, I think as we talk about each of these guys, as much of the athletic side of it is kind of the time they lived in. The 1920s to me are fascinating. Babe Ruth was the first like transcendent superstar. Could go anywhere. Everybody loved him. He's kind of, you know, drank a little bit, kind of a wild guy, but not like a bad guy like Ty Cobb. He was just kind of the fun guy everybody loved. And his numbers still stack up today. I mean, it's remarkable what he did. So I have him number 1. Do I need a drum roll so you got number 1?
Actually, I do remember this one
as
well.
What's number 1? All right, what's number 1?
My number 1 is Jackie Robinson. You know, when you think about what he did, he broke the color barrier in sports. And then after watching the movie 42 and reading a little bit of his autobiography to see what he had to go through and to see the things he had to endure and people calling him names, I don't know if I could have been a bigger man and resisted some of the stuff that he had to go through. And, you know, times have changed so much drastically over the years. To see him persevere and overcome that and become great and see why the number 42 is retired in baseball is a tremendous thing.
And mine is not similar in some ways, but very similar. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is the most dominant athlete, I think, that the world has ever seen for what he did. But the involvement in the things he had with the Vietnam War, also the racial tensions going on in this country. I think those things, when we see athletes connect to what's going on in the country, in our everyday lives, that's when it's big.